I don't know about you, but I'm getting sick of Windows. Or more specifically, all the stuff that Microsoft keeps doing to it. It has never been perfect. I mean, 10 is still a complete dysfunctional mess, but at least it isn't a mess that is a complete privacy nightmare with AI shoved so far down your throat you need a colonoscopy just to remove it. So, I went in search of something better. And I think I found it. Bazzite is a Linux distro that makes especially gaming on it remarkably easy. And to truly get a feel for it, I've been doing my best to daily drive it for over a month. Here's what I found. Let's start at the beginning with installation. It installs like any other OS, although here's where the pedantry that you'll likely find in the comments already would like you to know that technically Bazzite isn't actually a separate Linux distro, but a few tricks and tweaks added to Fedora. Still, you can download it as an ISO, write it to a USB stick, and install it as you would expect. On my Asus ZenBook Pro Duo that I installed it on, I only need to change one little setting in the BIOS for the storage, set it to AHCI rather than the Intel Rapid Storage thing that was on by default, and then the fresh M.2 I installed in here showed up as normal. I was able to install it nice and easy. When it comes to installing programs, well, on the face of it, it couldn't be simpler. Open Bazzite, the Flatpak app store basically, and one-click install a remarkable number of programs literally stupidly easily. Everything from Blender and OBS to Proton Plus and Mission Center, all just one-click installs. Amazing. Unfortunately, if you want to install basically anything else, well, that's where the Linux Experience TM comes in. I want to do some programming on this thing. I'll come back to that in a little bit because I've actually made, well, quite a pretty big commitment on that front, but anyway, so I thought that I would install VS Code, or actually since this is Linux and you want the more open source, open sort of standard friendly one, the de-googled version, I went for a VS Codium instead. So when I didn't immediately see it in the Bazzite, the App Store, I automatically put my Windows cap back on, went to VS Codium's website to find a download link. I downloaded what I thought was the Flatpak version, and that failed to install. Then I went back to the website and realized that there's actually a second set of installation instructions for the various distros of Linux, and so I went for the Fedora one, ran those commands, and got more errors. Great. I failed at the first hurdle again. I happened to look a bit more carefully at the App Store and facepalmed real hard when I realized that both VS Code and VS Codium were both in the App Store. Great. Both of those installed one click with no problems. Installing DaVinci Resolve should be much more akin to the Windows experience though. You just go to their website and download a zip file, unzip it, and then run the installer. You maybe might need to use terminal to run a command like sudo chmod +x to make the .run file executable, but Blackmagic's included in the zip file instructions are actually pretty good. Or that would be the case if Linux wasn't doing Linux things. You actually need to use terminal, you must use terminal by the way, to run the ujust command or install resolve subcommand. After downloading that zip file, you pick that zip file and then that thing will do the installing for you, because if you try and run the .run file yourself, it will just tell you that you're missing zlib, which you are not missing, but yeah, you just have to use ujust install-resolve from the command line. I do know that I have just lost a whole bunch of people there, and frankly this is a pretty good time to tell you that you are going to be using the terminal. Maybe for really basic stuff you won't. The package manager is great, and Steam is like simply amazing for making this stupidly easy to use. But if you need to do anything outside of that, or you need to fix an OS level issue, you'd better work on your terminal skills. As someone who has been messing with Linux for years now, I have to say that using Bazzite does feel like a step change in the experience. Pretty much everything just works, TM, and those one-click installs are just beautiful. Although, well, the key words in those sentences there was pretty much everything, because there was one little insignificant, tiny little thing that maybe exemplified the old typical Linux experience, the audio. This laptop, the ZenBook Pro Duo OLED, obviously has speakers built in, and even a headphone jack. Unfortunately for me, neither of those work in Bazzite. Bluetooth audio works just fine, but neither the speakers nor the headphone jack will output audio. Also from the get-go, even the built-in microphone was bricked. Naturally, I wanted to fix this and started searching for a solution. My first thought was that maybe I'm just missing a driver. It's not uncommon on Windows, like it's not an uncommon experience on Windows to, especially on a fresh install, have a bit of hardware that just doesn't work straight out of the box, and you need to go to a website either for like your, motherboard manufacturer, or in this case the laptop, or maybe even like Realtek or something like that, the chip maker, to get a driver for that product, that problem. So I figured that must be the problem here, right? Wrong. The Linux has its own set of drivers, and the totally kind and helpful people on the internet say, you must not touch them or you will die. Okay, next. I worked out, after running a variety of terminal commands that I got from, various places on the internet, which doesn't seem like the safest thing to do, but anyway, that this laptop has a Realtek ALC294 audio codec chip. And apparently that's a tough one for Linux to work with sometimes. I found forum posts talking about changing some settings, running ALSA mixer to see if some hidden volume or gain was turned down or muted, but nah, they were all fine. Okay, so the next most commonly successful suggestion was to use a tool called HDA Jack Retask to change a pin selection. Great, I'll just run that then. Oh, it's not installed. Okay, well apparently it's in the package ALSA tools, so I'll just install that. Huh, that doesn't exist. I've been told to run DNF repo query provides HDA Jack Retask to find out which repo has that in it, and oh, none have it. Awesome. Oh, it's been discontinued on purpose? Amazing! I finally stumbled across the suggestion to create a file called alsa-base.conf in etc/modprobe.d and put this options line in it. The French version of Ubuntu's help website has a list of some of the options that you can put here. I figured a ASUS-ZenBook would be a pretty good shout. It has the same codec as this Pro Duo OLED model. So we have to be in business now, right? Nope. The mic now works at least, but the audio output is still dead. And that's about where I gave up. If someone knows what to do about this, by the way, please do let me know in the comments or on our Discord server, because that would be a great help. But after over a week of fighting this, I'm out. This sort of thing brings me right back to the sort of brutal frustration of not knowing enough to be able to fix it, and not even knowing if it can be fixed. It's exhausting and just a brutal frustration that's so difficult to deal with. Although I have to say that that has been slowly improved out of the Linux experience for the most part. I know that the nuance of this conversation is that it's more likely Realtek's fault, not Linux or ASUS's, but the fact that these speakers work without any effort on Windows, and yet they don't on at least this version of Linux, still sucks regardless of who's at fault. Of course, that hasn't put me off using Linux or Bazzite, because it's still a pretty great experience on the whole. There are a few other quirks, like how this laptop is actually a dual touchscreen laptop, but Bazzite can only map the touch input to one display. So if I set it to the main display, if you touch the bottom display, it just moves the cursor around on the top display, whereas touching the top works as intended. You touch where you see, basically. That's not the end of the world for me. I don't really use the touchscreens on this thing, so it's not a big deal. For gaming though, man, Valve has put in some serious work. Any game that they list as Linux compatible just works. Even Rainbow Six Siege installs everything and runs as you would expect. performance is pretty decent for a 3070 laptop chip and a 60Hz OLED. I did have some stuttering, although I think that's mostly due to the mouse that I've been using to test this with for the most part. I also tried Dirt Rally 2.0 as well, and besides a bit of compatibility with my controller only being connected via wired USB, not wireless, being a bit of an issue, it was excellent. It looked amazing on this super vibrant OLED as well, and how even Trackmania works flawlessly. Compiling the Vulkan shaders did take a minute, but after that it was smooth as butter. The only game that Steam lists as works on Linux but flat out doesn't was Skate. That installs and even launches, but thanks to the kernel level anti-cheat, seriously, who's cheating in Skate? It boots with this error message and that's it, game over. Anti-cheat is the bane of Linux gaming's existence, and being treated as a cheater by default just sucks. While there are plenty of games you absolutely can play just fine, even multiplayer ones like Trackmania, if games from Riot or EA are on your daily rota, well, you will still need at least a dual boot of Windows in your life. That kinda sucks. But as more people adopt Linux, more effort can be put into making games work not only via Proton and compatibility layers, but natively. If you need to do professional things though, well, that's where it gets more complicated. Obviously programming, especially web development, is completely unchanged from Windows. In fact, it's better on Linux. But video editing? Well, that's kind of complicated. Adobe Suite is a no-go, and even DaVinci Resolve, at least on this laptop anyway, is a bit of a mixed bag. See, once you do get it installed, it does launch fine, but I had to restart it several times and ended up installing the studio version. Luckily I already have a key just to get codecs to work, just to get my footage to actually show up in the app. The audio still didn't show up either, and of course I've been having to use my Bluetooth headphones to actually hear stuff, which isn't exactly great or a great experience. I'm sure that you can get this to work, especially if you have an AMD GPU, but that's not a viable option for me right now. Other creative work might also suffer a little, mostly thanks to the Adobe suite of apps not being available. Because if they were available, then maybe there's some compatibility quirks, but you can get used to it. But if not, well, now you're not only learning a new OS, but a whole bunch of new programs, and that you might need to actually use for work. Well, that's a lot tougher of a sell. Blender is still Blender though. I mentioned at the beginning that I made quite the commitment on the programming front here, and I have. I thought that the best way to properly immerse myself in Linux was to write software for it. And seeing as how I've been wanting to make especially the open source latency testing tool that's available at osrtt.com, by the way, link to the description, multi-platform, well, I have only started, there's a hell of a long way to go, to make a Qt or Qt app for Linux. Right now, all I've got it doing is a window that pops up with a button that lists all the serial ports to the terminal and increments a label, and a button that seemingly just fails to run a terminal command, but I am getting there. I'm learning a whole new framework here, and I'm also really, really ill, so please do not expect anything on this front anytime soon. But I am trying and learning. I'm learning that you need to give read and write permissions to serial ports to make them do anything, to make them work, which you don't need to do on Windows, and that writing for Linux can be a bit of a minefield, because what might work on Ubuntu or Debian doesn't necessarily work on Fedora. What a nightmare. Honestly though, if you just want to give life to an old machine that is going to be just doing basic web browsing or office work, Linux is 100% ready to use. The base experience here is genuinely better than Windows, assuming your hardware works out of the box anyway, and that is amazing. If you do just game, well, That's a good 80% the way to being a seamless experience already. Valve has done a truly astonishing amount of work to make it that way, so truly hats off to them. Really, if you forget about anti-cheats, games just work. Some even perform better. That is a huge win. If you care about games that do have anti-cheat though, well, yeah, you will need to keep Windows in your life, which does kinda suck. But at least you now have the option to have the majority of your games work on Linux and have an operating system you actually control. But then, dual boot for those couple of games that do still need Windows, but otherwise Windows just stays off the whole time. For more pro stuff, unless you're programming, it might be rough. Your hardware config, and possibly even what Linux distro you use, is likely to be a deciding factor there, and unfortunately I don't have many other answers for you on that front. I can only really tell you what my experience is with this machine, but I can say that the programming experience is decent though. I think, for me anyway, trying to switch to Linux in what is now 2026 is a totally viable option. And also a path to losing all of your sanity amazingly quickly. The base experience is actually really polished and slick on Bazzite, and assuming you stick to the basics and use hardware that is well supported, you will never look back at Windows again. This is a measurably better, safer, more secure, and frankly cheaper experience, so yeah, this feels like a no-brainer. The problem, I see anyway, is that polished experience can create a false sense of security that means when you fall into one of the cracks, you realise it isn't just a crack. It is the Laurentian abyss, and you better be a surgeon with the command line to dig your way back out again. I'm a pretty technical person. I understand how these systems generally work, and I have a decade or two's experience in not only using computers, but sometimes writing very low-level software for them. I have some familiarity with the Linux command line already, and yet I couldn't fix my audio problem here. God help anyone who isn't anywhere near as technically savvy as I am if you run into an issue like this. That's kind of the crux of the Linux experience for me. The surface is great, but anything below that is, well, greybeard levels of knowledge and skill. As for the anti-cheat issue, I think anyway, it's mostly a problem of capitalism. There just isn't currently enough demand for publishers to invest any time and effort into designing Linux-compatible anti-cheat solutions, although I also can't ignore the fact that that is a bit of a chicken and egg problem. The more of us gamers who install a Linux distro like Bazzite or even CachyOS, the more the studios will be willing to invest in making their games available for Linux. And yeah, if that means that, for those anti-cheat, kernel-level anti-cheat games, you need to dual boot for a while, well, I think that might be a worthwhile cost. In short then, Linux is ready for the mainstream consumer, providing that consumer is willing to trade the convenience of it just works for the freedom and privacy of this computer is actually yours. It can be a brilliant, smooth, and blissfully private experience, with some occasionally truly teeth-pulling experiences too. Despite that, I think 2026 might actually be the year of the Linux desktop. Or at least, I hope it is. Of course, those are my thoughts, but I'd love to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think of Bazzite's, of using Linux as your main desktop OS? Are you ready for that yet? Is Linux ready for you, or are you going to be sticking with Windows? Is there a different Linux distro that you would recommend for potentially more beginner users? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to check out more videos like this one, you can hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification icon, check out plenty of other videos in the end cards, and if you want to check out my own hardware, the open source response time and latency testing tools that I'm in theory making a Linux app for, slowly, feel free to check them out at osrtd.com, linked in the description below. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed it, we'll see you on the next video.